And what have you learned about human nature in this whole process? I imagine, being in the military, then going to this sector of work, you must have learned some pretty interesting things.
Oh, yeah, we have this understanding in the work that we do, because we often are fortunate and get to go into different communities and different countries. Um, and you can't help but kind of go in and make an assessment based on our cultural norms, etc., of what's needed. Like, oh my goodness, there's no medical center here, or the domestic violence is a way of life, etc. There's terrible things happening here. But we have our our concept, I guess, is that we talk as you have to be able to suspend your own world belief or your own perspective and just hold space for whatever is going on. And then often when the findings come back, they may not make sense to us as an outsider. There's one of my earlier projects where I spent a couple of weeks in a slum community in Bangalore in India. And just that happened where, after observing what it was like, the mafia kind of ran that community. Everyone really existed on tomato chutney. There was a lot of illness, etc. And I thought, in terms of the priority needs, they're going to be what I consider basic fundamental human rights that haven't been met. But when the results came back, they were things like access to water and nutrition, so that wasn't surprising. But the third finding was problem-solving skills. So that was a priority need. And I said to the statisticians at the time, no, that must be wrong. Do it again. I've been there. Like, that can't be a priority need. And they said, no, it's actually, that got a very strong correlation with overall well-being, subjective well-being. But when we took those results back to the community, they were able to validate that and say, no, absolutely. And I am going to oversimplify, what was going on there. But what they're able to convey to me is really the history of the caste system there, that disempowered people removed at least remove their agency, has landed these people in a position of kind of hopelessness, and that they can't solve problems in their lives when faced with it. And that has a big impact on their overall well-being. So those sorts of findings continually kind of blow my mind about human behavior. And there's a really beautiful example of that too, that I experienced we do some work over in northern Uganda, and we had a set of questions. So we were at this stage just doing like a pilot and checking that the question set made sense for the communities we're asking it to. And there was a set of questions about, how, if people had fear, if they were anxious, and how much they worried. And my concern was, will we be able to explain the difference between those three things that could, if you oversimplified translation, the nuance might get lost. But that wasn't the issue. And when we were asking the women, we had a translator with us. They came to the question on I worry, and they all seemed very confused by that. So I was kind of going, what's going on? And what the issue was, we asked questions on a Likert scale. And if somebody worried a lot, it was a sad face at one end of the scale. And if you don't worry, it's a smiley face. That's seems
smart.
good to us. And what they were confused about is they were saying, yes, I worry a lot, but that it means I'm in a good position. I should be smiling. And they explained to me that coming through, again, a history of civil war where they had nothing, they had no worries. And so to worry was a privilege and meant you're in a good position. And that kind of just floored me. Like, to worry is a privilege. And so I think we continually just kind of learn those sorts of things, and also just how privileged we are. But that was an amazing example.